Okay, first you want to talk, how do you see the presidential field narrowing on the GOP side?
Well, we're already into the campaign season, and the debates have begun. There aren't as many debates this year as there were 4 years ago, but there'll probably be 8 debates, and I think probably by March of next year, which seems like a long time from now, but it's really only, about 8 months from now, you're going to see some of these candidates drop out because they're going to have a tough time raising the money and sort of staying in the game. But until then, I think pretty much everybody stays in. I think at the end of the day, it's likely to be decided not so much by how much money you raise, but what is your message and what are you going to do to actually make things better. People are frustrated. People know that things aren't going the right direction. If you look at the national polling on the wrong track, right track, we're a wrong track nation right now. And so I think what people want to hear is, what is your plan? And how does it differ, not necessarily from the other Republican candidates, but from where Barack Obama is and where Mrs. Clinton would take the country. So it's focusing more on the difference between the Republican approach and the conservative approach and where the Democrats want to take the country.
Now there are 17 GOP candidates. How come there's not an 18th one?
Well, you asked me that earlier. Bobby, I made a decision not to run quite simply because I just helped get the majority, and I believe that we needed to get some things done in Washington, and I knew that over this year and next year that if I was in Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina and Florida and all over the country campaigning, I wouldn't be able to focus on my job as a U.S. Senator from Ohio. And there's a lot to get done, and I'm in the middle of all of it. So I've been very involved in the regulatory reform efforts we talked about today and reforming our tax code. I have taken a leadership role in the budget to get the first budget passed in 6 years. It's a balanced budget. So these are issues that I felt strongly about, and frankly, I felt as though I owed it to my constituents in Ohio to stick in there as I was elected to do and try to get some of this done. So that's what I'm focused on. And second, I have my own campaign in 2016 here in Ohio, which I'm also going to have to spend a lot of time and focus on. I didn't think it was right to do both.
And John Husted was in town recently, and one of the things he said is one of the most important things is getting you reelected to the Senate, because there could be as many as 5 Supreme Court appointees for the next president. Have you thought about that? Or?
It's very important, in my view, to have a Republican Senate, not just because of Supreme Court appointments, which could happen. There are a lot of very elderly Supreme Court justices now, and the next president certainly is going to have some opportunities to appoint people, and they make a big difference, as we've seen with the case on Obamacare. Everything that goes through the Congress now that's controversial seems to end up at the Supreme Court. But second, we got to get this economy moving. And when you look at what's happened the last 6 years with more taxes, more regulations, bigger government, we see how it hasn't worked. And we need to give the economy that shot in the arm. It's going to take a Senate Republican majority, I believe, and also probably a change in the Oval Office.